I'd like to thank Fraser for giving me the opportunity to speak with each of you. In attendance with me today are amazing friends, family, my bride, and our featured son of the evening, Scotty. To say that our son Scott came into this world with a bang is an understatement. Scott was born on February 3rd of 1999, 3.5 months early. While his lungs worked instantly, he weighed in at a mere 2 pounds, 1 ounce. From the moment he was born, he began to challenge the norm. He was off his respirator within 24 hours. He was off oxygen within a week. And after spending the first 65 days of his life in not only Children's but also Methodist Hospital, Scott was finally able to come home with us. Scott's first year of life was unlike anything. It was great. He was just like a normal child. He was happy, extremely content, and always had a smile for anyone who would have it. At 1 year old, Scott began to show a few signs of language delays, but we weren't too concerned at this point, simply because we knew he had some catching up to do. He was always climbing on, in, through, around objects of any type. By 18 months of age, however, Scott went completely dark. It seemed as though our cheerful, happy boy had disappeared into a shell which we could not access. His limited language skills went away as well, and communication with him began to hit limits we couldn't comprehend. When this happens, as many of you know, there are things that run through your heart and your head as a parent. Did we do something wrong? Is this something we could have changed? There's a point of desperation that parents hit when you know something isn't right, but you have no idea what to do next. Amy and I spent many sleepless nights wondering about the future outcome for Scotty and what his life may be like. I know many in this room tonight can appreciate that feeling. As is normal, other areas of our life began to be affected. Amy and I struggled to keep our family unit together. We also tried to do our best to raise our son, Jack, who was just 13 months older than Scott. But when you don't know the answers, you don't know of any potential solutions, often it's our human nature to go to the blame game. I can share with you today that at this point in our journey, at this particular time, our jobs, our marriage, our overall family was in complete peril. Shortly after this point, our pediatrician also began to become concerned. The pediatrician we had was a doctor who spent time hearing, spent time learning, spent time trying to understand everything that Scotty was going through. But he also acknowledged that he didn't have all of the answers. He referred us to Fraser. We arrived at Fraser in the summer of 2002, nervous, scared, concerned. The evaluators sat us down and explained exactly how things would go. They took Scott into another room. The room had mirrors and microphones and speakers, and we were able to hear exactly what was going on while they evaluated Scotty. A short time later, the evaluator gave us the diagnosis, autism spectrum disorder. It seems amazing to me as I think back over those words, finally, a diagnosis. But I have to be honest, given our level of ignorance, the words almost pierced. It seemed with the finality of a diagnosis came fear and anger and a how dare you attitude. I don't remember much about the next hour after that, but the folks at Fraser laid out a plan and a plan of action which included going to Fraser School. It included education at home, and it included early childhood enrollment in our home local school. We left Fraser that afternoon with questions, but more importantly, we finally had an answer. Scott spent that summer at Fraser's summer program. He learned to communicate with sign language, with pictures through the PEC system. He learned how to cope with sensory objects. He learned all about compression techniques. He often leans over to me in church even today and says, "Hey, Dad, I think I need a little compression." And I can tell you there's probably a lot of 14-year-old boys that need compression while in church. At this point, I'd like to add just a little bit of some of the things that we went through. Scotty is very black and white. There is no gray area in his life. And so we had to learn that early on. I had the privilege of teaching and coaching baseball. And so when Scotty was about 5 or 6 years old, he was in T-ball. And for those of you that know anything about T-ball, oftentimes when the last batter, everybody gets an opportunity to bat. When the last batter gets up, that particular batter gets to hit a home run. So I was helping Scotty, and Scotty and I were on second base. And this is the black and white portion. And I said, Scotty, when this batter hits the ball, I want you to run all the way home, because he's going to hit a home run. Some of you see exactly where this is going. So the next batter came up, he hit the ball, Scotty took off towards center field, and I ran after him. I said, what are you doing? He said, Dad, I'm going home. So that was some of the black and white. The other thing that we learned quite quickly is Scotty has no filter. Some of you may know that sometimes children with autism will tell you what's on their mind, and quite frankly, I find it refreshing sometimes, and other times as a parent, it can become rather, I'm not sure how to describe it, but a couple of quick stories. Number one, my father-in-law, who's with us tonight, he actually was at his church, and he was holding Scott when Scott was about 6 years old, and he walked up to one of his friends who was 100% follically challenged. That is the political correct way to say it, I believe. And he walked up to him, patted him on the head, and said, I like your haircut. So at that point, you're not sure what to do. The other story I want to tell you is my brother-in-law, Steve. Steve and Scotty have a love-hate relationship, if you will, and my brother-in-law, Steve, loves to pick on Scotty. Well, Scotty was learning in school all about proper taking care of yourself, brushing your teeth and combing your hair and all the things that the school wanted to teach him. Well, my brother-in-law, on a Saturday morning at the cabin, decided to snuggle up next to Scotty. And it was right after he had gotten up, and he was snuggled right up next to him, and he said, hey, Scotty, how you doing? And Scotty looked at him and said, Steve, you really need to start working on your personal hygiene. Scotty enjoys many things in life today. He's an avid video gamer who will finish a game in less than a day when his mom and dad will let him. His diet consists of chicken, pizza, certain cereals, Cheetos, and more pizza. His love for laughter and happiness is one that is contagious for all that are privileged to know him. He loves school and has recently made the A honor roll 2 years in a row. While Scotty does receive special help at school, he is almost fully integrated with his 9th grade peers. Scotty also loves soccer. He's on the JV team this year and is in charge of the rally cry before each game and before each quarter starts. The entire team grabs Scotty G, as they call him, and they grab their hands together, and he's the one that yells 1, 2, 3 Tigers. It's soccer that brings this story home for me. I knew nothing of the game prior to Scotty deciding to play soccer. He's played for 5 years now, and he's a key part of the team. And last year, while playing Hutchinson, Scott's team made a commitment to him. His team was ahead 6-1. Amy and I began hearing Scott's teammates telling their coach, we've got to give Scotty the opportunity to score. The coach told them to make it happen. You see, Scott had played defense the entire year, but not this game. He went in as a forward. Sorry. One by one, his teammates came out of the game, and they pointed at him and said, Scotty G, this game is about you. Scotty, you're going to score. Today is about you. Each player, when open for a shot, passed the ball to Scott so he could shoot. And from the sidelines, we began to hear Scotty G, Scotty G, Scotty G. Line after line of players were pulled from the field, but no player was exchanged for Scott. He played the entire second half as a forward. But while he didn't score, He had multiple great shots on goal, and to this day is the only kid to get carried off of his field by his fellow players. Amy and I sat on the sidelines that afternoon with tears streaming down our face, because I can't tell you the emotions that you face when something that special happens. It was at that time, however, that I thought of each of you. You see, whether you believe it or not, you're here for a specific reason. You may not know the exact reason, but I can guarantee you this, that somewhere tonight in the state of Minnesota and the surrounding community, a couple is sitting in their house right now, wanting, desiring, longing for answers, just like we were 12 years ago. Somewhere tonight, someone is struggling with life due to the challenges of having a special needs child. Somewhere tonight, someone wants an answer. Fraser has those answers to the questions, and each of you are here tonight to make that possible. Fraser truly changed our lives, and it's changed Scotty's life. I want to bring him up. Scotty, would you come up here? I'm a man who believes in prayer, and I want to share with you my prayer for Fraser, that God would continue to bless this organization. And not only that, the employees, the volunteers that so tirelessly serve to ensure that each and every family has the same opportunity that we did. That God would bless each of you for being willing to come tonight and make a difference. Thank you for this amazing opportunity. May God bless you.